Hey guys, Phil/Polygon here. Welcome to part 11 in a Purist guide to character building. The Tomb of the Giants is behind us. Nito has been defeated. That's 2 of the 4 Lord Souls we'll eventually need to make our Lord Vessel stew and unlock the Kiln. We naturally need to go to the Duke's Archives to take on Seath. We naturally need to go into Lost Izalith to take on the Witch. I'm starting to think, is there anything else in the world? What can I do to finish my character? Miracles, items, armor sets? Is there anything in the Painted World? Yep, sure is. That's where we're headed. One specific item we definitely want from the Painted World, the Red Sign Soapstone. We'll talk about that a little bit down the way when we get there. An essential for any PvP build. There's some miracles in there that we want, maybe even an Ember. But for now, we're playing Bonfire Hopscotch, coming back to the Darkmoon tomb to join up with the Blades. I want to join up with these guys through rank 1 at least, like I did with the Sunbros for the Covenant items. At rank 1, you get both Darkmoon Blade and the Darkmoon Talisman. I mentioned this is not going to be a buff build. We can't buff our Divine Partisan anyways, but we absolutely want the Darkmoon Talisman. It'll take 10 Souvenirs of Reprisal. You can get those by invading as a Darkmoon or by farming the shit out of the Harpies in the Painted World. Pretty rare drop from those guys, but you can level up in this Covenant via offline or when nobody's around to invade or anything like that. We just need 10 of them. We want that talisman. Best faith scaling talisman in the game, paired with our 50 faith, paired with our Crown of Dusk, paired with our Ring of the Sun's Firstborn. Man, we are just going to be a bullhorn for miracles. They are going to be coming out of us at a highly amplified state. We'll make a correction now too. As we advance our way through the Painting Guardians to the painting that they are guarding, gotta call something out. So now that we are officially a Darkmoon Blade, we can no longer use our Red Eye Orb. This is correcting something I spit out a couple videos ago. Right after we joined up with Kath and fed him all that humanity, one at a time, got our Red Eye Orb, I said, oh great, now we can do unlimited invasions. Don't even have to be a Dark Wraith to use this thing. That is false. I don't know why I had that wrong or just flat out lied to you guys, depending on how you want to look at it. You do need to be a Dark Wraith to use the Dark Wraith Covenant item. I think I might have been mixing up a plan and getting confused with the cracked Red Eye Orbs. I don't know what was going on. Here's the Force. I wanted to make sure I had my Force on me when I come in here too, just to spit back some of these throwing knives. I called that out a couple videos as well and didn't actually demonstrate it. Damn, that dude is persistent. Maybe this time. Maybe this time. Maybe this time. Good lord. But yeah, I think I got confused with the cracked Red Eye Orb and one of the techniques that I often do to invade in any Covenant. So what you can do, now that we have access to Kath, he does sell cracked Red Eye Orbs for the low price of 3,000 souls. So you can actually buy out a stack of 99 of those, put them in your bottomless box, buy out another stack of 99, then you got a nice chunk of cracked Red Eye Orbs, which you can invade with under any circumstance. As long as you are not hollow, you can go out invading with those, and then join up with whatever cult covenant you ultimately want to be a part of. That allows you to do regular invasions as a Darkmoon, regular invasions as a Sunbro, however you want to handle it. Just one thing to keep in mind though, Kath does require you to be a Dark Wraith in order to sell you the orbs. So you can't go to him as a Darkmoon and buy cracked Red Eye Orbs. And there are Covenant penalties for jumping back and forth. So it's usually best to buy out your stock, buy out his inventory, get as many as you want before going to the Covenant that you're interested in participating in. So if you were to rank up to 3 in the Darkmoon Blades, then betray them to go buy orbs from Kath, you'd lose half of your advancement. You'd go back to about rank 1.5. Significant penalty to your buff for doing that, so just a little bit of foresight. But anybody can invade via the cracked Red Eye Orbs, absolutely not via the Red Eye Orb. The whole one, the non-cracked. Sorry about that. Sorry for getting it wrong. Big thanks to Furtive Cutlass for calling me on that in the comments. A couple other people pointed that out as well. For whatever reason, I just had it wrong. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thanks for keeping me honest. So now in the Painted World, I swapped out to my spider shield. I absolutely hate the way this thing looks, but damn is it useful. So these dudes, as I'm sure everyone knows, when they die, they explode into a gooey mess of toxic residue that will get all over you, build up your overflow your resistances pretty quickly, and toxify you. Spider Shield with 100% poison and toxic resistance, you can go right up in their face, wail away, and let that shit wash over you as they die. As long as you're shielded up, it will not affect you. I just discovered this not that long ago. I was thinking, wait a minute. I have something that nullifies toxic. It's a shield. Does this actually work? It does. So you don't have to spam roll backwards every time you hit one of those guys to try and not get caught with their death clouds or their death goo. Underutilized shield. I don't see a lot of people using this spider shield. Like I said, probably because it's just so terrible and ugly as a shield. It's actually a good shield. 100% block, toxic resistance. It's definitely no crest shield with its 100% block and great magic resistance. I just love that crest shield. Just like our leather armor, just like our character herself, that crest shield is pretty fancy, and I dig it. So let's take just a moment and talk about the Painted World as a whole. I think this place is cool as Alaska. Alaska's not cool. It's cold. Anyway, so this was basically a dumping ground for the gods. All the deities of old, Gwyn and all of his peeps, this is where they stashed their shame. This is where they stashed their fear. This is where they stashed all of the things they did not want making it out into the world at large. Yeah, I don't know if mankind is ready for this. What should we do? Put it in the Painted World. Okay. That was Smo. Put it in the Painted World. So there's all kinds of taboo items in here, one of which we're about to pick up. The Red Sign Soapstone. And I think that's kind of interesting too. I've never really thought about this too deeply. But out in the regular world, out in Lordran, invasions are apparently okay. Plenty of covenants allow you to do that, one of which is sanctioned by the gods in the Darkmoons, like us. But dueling, they're apparently not cool with. They didn't want people voluntarily fighting. Is that why they stashed the Red Sign Soapstone in here? I'm a little offended by that, being primarily a duelist. I like to think that it's the more honorable path, but apparently Gwyn et al. Did not believe so. Maybe they only wanted to see mankind struggle. I wonder if that's it. So they're cool with invasions. When an invader breaks into your world at exactly the wrong moment and wreaks terror upon whatever it is that you're trying to do, maybe the gods liked that. It was good for a chuckle. Just like all those funny invasion videos on YouTube. Tee-hee-hee-hee. And the Red Sign Soapstone is much more of a mutually beneficial endeavor. Both sides are improving. Both sides are getting something out of it. And they were worried that through dueling, mankind would become too powerful and start wielding occult weapons, so they stashed those in here as well with the Dark Ember. That's totally speculation. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm just kind of riffing on why the fuck is the Red Sign Soapstone in the Painted World? And why is that not okay to the gods? We're also going to pick up a couple of miracles in here as well. Vow of Silence was stashed away here. It makes perfect sense. The gods of old being highly magical beings. Somebody crafted a miracle that basically stifles the casting of any kind. Like, that freaks the hell out of me. Put it in the Painted World. Put it in the Painted World! Good old Smo. Coming in for a callback. In order to get Vow of Silence, and in order to get the Dark Ember, which allows you to craft occult weapons, which again, we're probably not going to put to use, but it is relevant to the build, so we're going to snag it. We got to come down here into the old well and meet up with more friends, dear friends, the Bone Wheel Skeletons. They're decently easy to avoid down here in the passages if you kind of lure them into some of those intersections. If you get caught down a narrow hallway like this with a bone wheel, it's likely going to put you back at the bonfire. There's also some shortcuts that you can open up down here, a couple of soul items to pick up, a couple of miscellaneous goodies. We don't need any of that shit. So we're just coming down here, we're going to snag the key, and then head back to the annex. You know, I think the Painted World is just amazingly cool aesthetically. I'm a sucker, I will admit, I'm a sucker for all things snow. I love snow levels. I'm a sucker for anything cold and crunchy, like the snow. It's also why I freeze my almonds. Do not freeze my almonds. What? So, Aesthetically, I think it's really cool. It's kind of ruined. It feels kind of forgotten about in terms of the disarray, the disrepair of the furniture, snow falling. I also think it's really like incredibly well put together, incredibly well constructed and thought out. Actually, the Painted World is so short, where if you have all of the shortcuts activated, it's just a single line, a single run from the first bonfire back to where Priscilla presides over the entire place. But of course there are locked doors, of course there are contraptions to be manipulated in order to actually access that path. I think the Painted World is some of Dark Souls' finest level design. And I believe I remember reading or seeing a video that once upon a time this was a demo area, which kind of makes sense why it's so thoughtfully crafted. They wanted to prove a point. They wanted to impress upon whoever was checking out the demo that level design is cool in these Souls games, and there are actually paths of very little resistance, but you have to go up against a crap ton of resistance in order to access them or unlock them. And I think, at least in terms of level design, it's a fantastic example of the risk and struggle and frustration and accomplishment and reward that these Souls games are trying to instill you with, right? If you subject yourself to the dangers of the outlying parts of the level and open up those shortcuts, your tangible reward is a very linear, very straight, very easy path out of the level. I think that is so cool. Good job, Painted World. We did just snag our Vow of Silence as well. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to utilize that with this character. I'm not sure if it's going to be in my regular miracle rotation, but I did want to come in here and pick it up. I'm just trying to pick up any of the miracles that I think I might want to use down the road. And as long as we're here, why not? We need to come over here for the Ember as well. I'm going to goof around a little bit with trying to free aim my lightning spears against these guys down there. I saw a glimpse of that. Was close, actually. And I don't know if I can hit him from here. I don't know if those lightning spears go until they hit something, or if they ultimately dissipate like a lot of sorceries. Your soul arrows and things like that will not go forever. It's not like an arrow where it will just follow the trajectory all the way until it hits some invisible wall on the edge of the map. Those things do fizzle out. I'm not sure if lightning spear is the same thing. I was trying to find out, but couldn't get my free aiming good enough to actually hit that guy. And we are, of course, in pursuit of the Dark Ember. That's what allows you to take your +5 divine weapons and make them occult, ascend them on the occult path. I think occult is really interesting lore-wise. It is meant to slay the gods. Havel, trapped in his tower, former friend of Gwyn, may have been involved in a little bit of an insurrection meant to take down the gods. By the way, he might have been tied up in that. But yeah, so it actually does more damage against a lot of the enemies in New Londo. Those Silver Knights, I think it might be a little bit more effective against Ornstein and Smo, as well as some of the other divine bosses in the game. But yeah, it's specifically meant to kill deities. I think that's pretty cool. We don't have any plans to do much with it. I might ascend some other spears on like my NG Plus playthrough as I continue on with these characters, or just mess around with a little bit. Absolutely relevant to the build, and I want to make sure I pick it up. You can grab it, you take it back to Andre, and he kind of geeks out on it a little bit. He's like, "Oh, what's this? I've never seen an Ember like this before. I wonder what I can make with it." You can make occult weapons. And the difference between occult and divine is a lot like the difference between magic and enchanted. All of those things are split damage. Divine splits a little bit more towards magic damage. That's the damage that actually scales with your faith versus the physical portion of the damage. And occult is a little bit more even in the split. It's a little bit more close to 50-50, but occult weapons usually have better scaling. The one that always springs to mind with me is you can occult up a Painting Guardian sword and still get S scaling with your faith. So that is a pretty slick little thing. A lot of times your enchanted magic, well, enchanted and occult have a lot more tendencies to give you S scaling versus divine and magic, a little bit lower, A or B scaling in magic or faith, depending on what it is. And with faith builds I've done in the past, well, it absolutely depends on the weapon. So check the wikis, or just pay attention to what happens to your scaling when you're ascending something to either divine or occult. I was going to say, with faith builds in the past, I've almost always gone occult, just because of the better scaling. But In looking at this partisan, it seemed like Divine might be a little bit better suited. It seemed like Divine had a better effect on the partisan. Again, totally dependent on the weapon. All of them behave very randomly and differently, aside from general rules of thumb. And I was kind of curious to see how the Divine plays as we get our 50 faith eventually when the build is done. If the split damage leaning more towards magic fares a little bit better. Because with all split weapons, anytime you hit anything, damage reduction affects both damage types. So when you hit somebody with 50-50 split damage, the 50% physical gets reduced and the 50% magic gets reduced. That's why these things perform a lot worse than pure physical damage weapons, especially in PvP. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Maybe leaning more towards the magic damage will balance it out. I don't know, we'll see. I can always just occult it later. But that's about it for the Painted World. We're going to bypass Velka's Rapier. We don't need that. That's a phenomenal weapon for caster builds. The Robes of Judgment are down here. That's the black leather trench coat looking thing that Oswald wears. It's a slick looking costume, but we're going a different direction. There's a bunch of great pyromancies here as well, and an NPC invader from Jeremiah. If you want to get that dumbass looking turban, or his skirt is actually pretty phenomenal, light armor wise, defensively. We don't need any of that. We're just going to pass through. Give our regards to Priscilla. A lot of people's waifu, man. She's Seath's daughter. Isn't that weird? Bizarre abomination of human and dragon. Trapped here in the Painted World. Discarded. Painted World being the dumping grounds. Again, everything the gods are ashamed of, or afraid of, or hate. Apparently, Priscilla's not too popular. What have you done, Seath? Well, I don't know. She was cute. She gets stashed away, locked away in the Painted World. We're going to keep her alive, because I want to keep the Painted World as a live PvP area. We'll come back this way and connect with some people, set up matches, maybe wait around for invaders with our non-existent dried fingers. Shit, we forgot the dried fingers. I'm absolutely going to make a appendix for that and circle back for it. Hugely valuable PvP tool. It resets your invasion counter. Every time you fend off an invader, you have a little bit of leniency where people can't connect with you right away again. Your dried fingers resets that, just makes you a little bit more of an eligible target for farming, for souls, levels, whatever it is, if you just want to get invaded. But that's it. Always homeward bone back to this bonfire. I mean, it automatically does that. It spits you out in the Painting Guardian room, and then when you homeward or bone it to the last bonfire, it always takes you here. I wonder if there's some weird connection between this bonfire or that firekeeper. The Painted World. We'll start a rumor. That's Priscilla's sister. It's not. Let me know. What do you do differently? Should I have killed Priscilla? I always have such a difficult time bringing myself to kill Priscilla. I like her. Not in a waifu way, but I think she's just kind of cool. And I feel bad for her. But what else? What did we miss? What else did I get wrong? We'll add some additional corrections to come. Until then, see you in the next one. Bye.